Chou, Hip-Hop-Lee, Shabobo, Shabizi. Oh, it was fire!
Well, good evening and welcome to A&E Rugby with myself, Elmer. And with me today is Anwar, otherwise known to you all as the voice from the Cape. Anwar, how's it?
Hey, how's it, Owens? I hope everybody's lekker. Seems like winter's not yet left us, which is a bit cuck, but hey, is what it is, eh? At least we've got international rugby.
Absolutely. Let's get straight into this, Anwar, and let's talk about Ireland here. So it seems like the last 3 or 4 weeks, Andrew and I have been previewing Ireland Six Nations games, talking quite a lot about them, and probably because they're enjoyable to talk about because of the rugby they're playing. So they've played 3 games, 3 wins, 3 bonus points. Silly question. What do you make of Ireland so far in the Six Nations, Anwar?
You know what? That's actually a very, very good question. And while you were asking it, I actually thought back and sort of to try and conceptualize what I'm trying to bring across here. But if we talk about Ireland, we can't just talk about Ireland in this Six Nations. Let's take this a little bit further back. The whole of the World Cup campaign and the entire campaign from probably 12 months, their win out in New Zealand. So you've got to add this together. These guys have been very, very good for a nice period of time now.
Okay, I like what you're doing here. So we saw the New Zealand win, which was a first. I mean, who goes down there and wins? Not many people.
Not many people do that.
I think we may both agree that although they didn't get as far as they wanted to in the World Cup, their performance level in the World Cup was excellent.
Oh, 100%. They were arguably, South Africa ended up winning the tournament, as we all know. But if we are honest here, the best team in that tournament, in my mind, was Ireland.
Oh, I disagree with that. I think the best team won, but that's interesting that you say that. So given that they've played to a very high standard in your mind, do you see any drop-off from them in this Six Nations?
I don't see any drop-off, to be honest with you. I think that they've got a benchmark level that they know they need to attain and they know that they can play at. But I don't see a drop-off, but I do see slight tweaks to their plan of action, to their executions. They are trying new things in this Six Nations tournament. I've seen a couple of different I would say combinations. I've also seen a little bit of difference in them at the breakdown. I think they figured out that both New Zealand and South Africa worked them out at the point of breakdown and what they were looking to achieve. Prior Six Nations tournaments, I don't think that the home nations kind of worked it out what Ireland was doing. They were sucking in a number of defenders at the breakdown. And then with the speed that they have and the ball carriers they have with Aki in midfield and Low on the wing, and even the other one on the other wing as well. Now, what's his name? I can't get to his name now. Mac Hansen. That's the one. They were exploiting men on the ground and having numbers out on the outside, which they could spin the ball really quickly to. So that kind of got figured out. If you watch a lot of the videos from the World Cup, especially the quarterfinal, the semi-final, quarterfinal, watch that again and watch how New Zealand do not commit men on the ground. Watch it, because it took me a while to figure that out, but then I figured it out.
It's interesting you say that, because Ireland's defence is phenomenal at the moment. And one thing I noticed with
100%.
the Wales game, because you start watching them a bit closer, mostly because they're playing so well, and the tour is in your mind later this year in June. But 100%. The one thing you notice is the amount of times they only commit one person into the ruck, and there's quite a few of them who do this, and the amount of times that they win that ruck as well, they turn over that ball, which is really interesting, and a bit of a parallel to the All Blacks game that you were just referring to. So they're keeping their defensive shape because they're only committing one person to it, and because of their on what you're saying, Anwar, in terms of you don't see a drop off but you see varieties, even though I think it's quite clear that the 3 teams they've played over the last 3 or 4 weeks have been pretty substandard, below par, below the expectations they would normally play to. Does that not take anything away from the Irish team at all?
To be honest, let's be honest here in sort of evaluating what we think of Ireland's performances in the Six Nations tournament. And to be honest, they can only play what is in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And with Ireland's performances, they have been impressive. They have been impressive because they have dominated. They have dominated almost every facet of the game, even their new 10 that's come into play. Really, really exciting to watch. Lots of praise heaped on this lad. But I want to know what happens when he gets hit hard and gets pushed backwards. Because it's all good and fine when you're going forward and you're railroading the likes of an Italy, the railroading the likes of a Scotland, and so on and so forth. And I'll get onto this in a second. But what happens when you come up against a pack like the Box, who are going to fuck you up? And a pack against New Zealand, who, with the likes of Ardie Savea, is just going to absolutely pummel you. And they know what they can do, and they know what they can, and they know what they bring. So, with all due respect to Ireland, they are probably 75% better than any other team in the Six Nations.
Wow, as much as that, do you think?
I think so, because look, England are a shambles at the moment, an absolute shambles, and I'll get onto them in a second. I have had my opinions, and I have quite strong opinions about Italy. Italy played a lovely game on the weekend. Oh, fantastic to watch, but that's 1 out of 20.
Against 14 men.
Against 14 men. So tell me again, do they actually deserve their slot in the Six Nations when there's no jeopardy for them?
That's another conversation, isn't it?
Exactly. But coming back to Ireland, look, they've got wonderful processes in place. And if you watch them executed, this is a team that is playing their rugby, playing their brand, their identity. They know who they are. They know what they want to do, and they are doing it. But they are not being challenged when they are doing it.
Yeah, so I agree you can only play who's in front of you completely. What I would say about that, though, is they do remind me a bit of the All Blacks in history, because the All Blacks would always put teams away, whoever they were. Look at Italy in the World Cup. They put 90 points past those. There was never any drop-off thinking, oh, we've got this at half-time. We're just going to drop off now. And Ireland remind me of that. They keep that tempo going. They play with a lot of energy, a lot of discipline. It's like a well-oiled machine, and there's no drop-off. There's that hunger constantly for tries, to scores, and it's a similarity I see. You've mentioned some named players there, and you also mentioned the process, which is interesting, because I think there's two things at the moment. Ireland have a once in a generation type of players at the moment. Some of them, like your Sheehans, your Doris, Gibson Park, Bandiaki. There's a couple more not coming to mind at the moment, and these are all world-class players without a doubt. However,
100%.
When these players get injured, if they get injured, the people, or they're replaced, the people who come, they just slot in perfectly. And I think you were going on about how well oiled they are, and the process is just phenomenal. But they're so cohesive, and that has to stem surely from them all playing for the same club, mostly Leinster, and just playing together day in, day out. And it looks as if a new player comes in, like the fly half. He comes in, who's going to replace Sexton? Oh, stress. This out comes in. It's as if he's just slotted into his own culture. His second skin is playing for Ireland, and every single player I'm seeing who comes into play for Ireland just looks to the manner born, looks comfortable, and that has to come surely
100%.
from. And they look so comfortable, don't they? And it has to be the cohesion from Leinster and the transition. I'm thinking that's my thought process.
Correct. I mean, you talked about Leinster. Let's touch on that. We've had a number of the current South African management team out in Ireland, and with the likes of Munster and Leinster and Ulster. And I see a lot of South African blueprint coming through in the management style and of Ireland. If you've just mentioned it, the people coming in are just slotting straight in. So they've got a succession plan in place that is a lot similar to the South African way of doing things. I mean, you look at what we do, and we trying to sort of compare like for like, or apples and pears here, or apples and oranges. Who cares? But what we're looking to see is how Ireland are, what they are, who they are, what they are. And Ireland are exactly who they want to be, because they are playing the way they want to play. They have a formula, and a successful formula. And let's go back again. Six Nations, Rugby World Cup in France, tour down to New Zealand, Six Nations. So they've been perfecting this formula of theirs for 3, 4, 5 years now.
And there's no drop off, is there?
And no
anybody if anybody who beats them has to be completely on their mettle.
Oh, 100%. I tell you what, I am overly excited for June and July this year, because I think it will be a wonderful test, a wonderful, I would say, exhibition of rugby. Those guys have got a point to prove. They're coming there. They're going to go down to our shores with a point to prove. They've been hurt.
Okay.
They've been hurt. What would I say? Their psyche, I can't get to the word now.
That's okay. Before we get onto that tour this June, they've got 2 more games in the Six Nations left. England and Scotland. It will be Scotland, won't it? 2 wins guaranteed Grand Slam. Can you see anything else?
I can't see anything else. I'm going to be brutally honest to the rest of the guys that they are going to play against. I think they will. If England decide to, England are a mess at the moment, and I think they're trying to find their identity in some way or form. I think we've got a lot of confused little schoolboys and children in the England side who are so good at throwing tantrums and so poor at actually playing international rugby at the moment that I'm not sure they can get out of their own way to actually put a performance together. Whereas if you look at the mature heads playing in that Ireland team, that's a rugby team. That's a rugby team worth their salt. That's a rugby team that should be feared, a rugby team that should be respected for what they've achieved. You can't say the same for England. You just cannot.
So that's a yes. It's the next 2 games in Scotland at home. It's just
I predict England. For them, you know? I believe Ireland to beat England by a bonus point and probably 25 points clear. Scotland will not be as easy a pushover as England will be. I think Scotland will put up a fight because they're playing at Murrayfield in the last game, I believe. Scotland are on a bit of a high at the moment with their resounding result over England. And wow, what a result and performance that was. It just goes to show the level of drop-off. You asked me about what I think about the opposition, but now I'm going to come to the levels of drop-offs that I've seen in this Six Nations tournament, because clearly there's only one really good outfit in the Six Nations tournament, and that is Ireland. The next in line, I think, is Scotland. After that, I think Wales, because Wales is a work in progress, but I do see a lot more shining bright points for Wales than I do for England at this current moment.
Okay. Well, back onto Ireland. So in terms of, they win the Grand Slam, as we've agreed to, back-to-back Grand Slams.
100%.
That'll make it. That means they'll have won 13 straight Six Nations games on the trot.
Wow.
If we look at Ireland's strengths, the positives, if you like, we've spoken about their cohesion. They look, they look slick. They look like a well-oiled machine. The discipline. I mean, rarely give yellow cards away, rarely give the ball away. So keep hold of it. Turn 100%. Attack into points often, always 9 times out of 10. 5-meter lineouts result in a try. The turnovers are unbelievable. Gosh,
The weapons they have on the outside. Let's be clear. They have weapons.
Yeah, they do. Although those two are injured at the moment, they'll be back. But they've also developed this power game, which you kind of saw in the World Cup a little bit. That tight five are not only powerful in the scrum and the set piece, but they are handy in the loose side. Because that, that the island backs who can go coast to coast and back again, probing with the short passes and looking for openings. They can square it up and go direct with those tight five and who can puncture their own holes. It's a joy to watch. So we've mentioned all these
even their
positives.
back row. Even their back row.
Give me a weakness. Give me a negative. I'll tell you one. The crowd is very quiet against Wales.
They were. But there is one weakness I do see, and I'm waiting for the moment where he gets challenged. Is Crowley, the number 10?
Well, we don't know if it's a weakness then, do we?
We don't know. So we're waiting because at this current moment, there is not an opposition in the Six Nations that can exploit any perceived weakness that Ireland has.
Okay, so I agree with you now. So June the 7th, Saturday, Loftus Versfeld, Springboks v Ireland.
Oof.
This tour.
My God,
we've mentioned all these strengths, and we've also spoken that Ireland, though I presume you think the same, there'll be no drop off for those. They'll be coming fully loaded. On the hard ground, they'll probably perform even better than normal.
Correct.
I mean, are you at this point? Are you more nervy or excited?
I would say I'm more excited. Let's be honest. Every time we played a series after we've won the World Cup, we've not performed as well as expected. I mean, I think this series is a wonderful tour for Ireland. It'll be a wonderful benchmark for them, but also on the other side of the coin, they've got a team that's played together for a number of years now. We've had a team that has played together for 4 years. We've got a couple of guys that have retired. So we've got a new team coming. I'm not making this as an excuse. This is not an excuse. This is the reality of it. We will have a lot of new names and a lot of new faces in that South African team versus Ireland. I do expect Ireland to win again. I don't expect us to win all of them. I expect them to win a game. And I expect them to win the first game.
Yeah, it's interesting saying that. I expect them to win the first toss. And the reason why I expect that is because we've never, how many teams are very good after an absence of months playing rugby? So
7 months we played rugby.
So we need to hit the ground. Springboks need to hit the ground running to play this Ireland team. And then when you take into factors like it's unlikely your Marxes, your Quaggers, your Evans, they're not going to be there. Injured. There's a couple more as well, Creel, etc.
Yeah, your Pollard is not there.
So, and we know through experience. Gosh, one-off games after a few months, you turn up against Wales or the All Blacks, and they find you out.
Oh God, yes, they're going to catch you.
So then you're thinking, well, so what's Rassie going to do? Is he going to revert to the Lions game plan with COVID when we had no rugby and you just keep it really, really tight and play a risk-adverse game? I'm not sure he'll do that. I think he'll just go for it a bit more. But I'm like you. I think that it could be all about the second test with the Springboks.
Oh, 100%. And look, we now touching on and sort of going back to our previous pod or our previous conversations with the likes of the new names in the management setup. The likes of Flannery and the likes of Brown. So we know what to expect from Ireland. It's shown in front of us, but Ireland does not know what to expect from the Springboks. So you can always look at it in two ways, my friend. I expect them to win the first game because I expect us not to be as polished as they are, seeing that they've come off another international tournament where they've played competitive international rugby for over a space of a month. They've got 3 months off, of which they'll have a couple of breaks. They go back to their clubs, but they've played together. We've not played together for 7 months, 8 months. We've got a new coaching system, new coaching aspect of it, new systems coming into place, new guys coming into the equation. Of course, there's going to be teething issues, guys fitting in, understanding their roles. Everyone has a role, understanding what that role is, how that role fits into the team dynamic. So yes, I do expect a very strong Ireland team to perform extremely well against the Springboks in the first game. But on the contrary, just to make this point, Ireland will know that we're there. The Boks are not going to roll over and play dead. As Andre Pollard said in his interview with Big Jim, we don't give a shit what people think about how we play our rugby. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel. We put big boys on the field, and our big boys are going to fuck you up. It's as simple as that. And that's what I expect our guys to do. We're going there.
Okay.
What else comes on the back line? And that's what will come.
Well, thank you, Voice of the Cape. It's been a pleasure. Ireland play England next week. So all eyes will be on that. I won't
Good luck,
ask you.
England.
I won't ask you who's supporting on that day. Good luck to the Stormers this weekend, who play at Loftus themselves. So good luck with that fixture. And it's been a pleasure chatting to you once again.
Always a pleasure to be on board, my friend. Thank you very much for as our illustrious compadre used to say, thank you for having me.
The clock, my arm, now look on your arm. Marks, my pinky. I can't put direct. I like to look on your arm. Marcelo Polo, direct my pinky. Oh, it's the man. Le Casu, hip hop, league, Shampopo, Shambisi. Oh, it was why.